think we have 3 feeders up there. We really don't have very many. I'm surprised.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock and we call the village board meeting to order. We'll say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have all cell phones silenced during the meeting. Look for approval of the agenda.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 5, public appearances and citizens' comments. There's no one in the audience, but has everybody met Wendy, our new deputy clerk?
I have not.
Okay.
I don't believe anyway.
Mike Ganser?
But I know you.
I bet you do, yeah. A lot of people do.
And I'm neighbors with your dad.
Yes, that I do know.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice to be here. I'm just observing.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6, approval of the consent agenda.
Approval?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 7, Finance Personnel Committee. Item 8, consideration resolution 1919, appointment of summer employees. This is an annual thing we do to approve the hiring of summer employees in the rec programs. Linda, you got anything more to say?
Megan,
Anything out of the ordinary?
no,
No?
we keep adding a few every year, it seems like, new ones, but Megan takes care of finding those people and supervising them, so this is at her recommendation.
Move we approve the resolution.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item B, discussion and consideration, adoption of 2020 budget timeline. Linda, you want to speak to this?
It's that time again.
Yeah, great.
It's never ending.
We just got it done. Yeah, we basically do at the first meeting in May every year. So Drake and I took a look at it and we kind of work from the bottom up, knowing when we need to get the tax bill out and have a public hearing. It's pretty much the same otherwise. I know that we will need to fit in, we have one union contract that expires at the end of 2019. So there will need to be union negotiations at some point which we probably want to get started on that, June, July, so we have some time to work through that. Other than that, it's pretty much straightforward. No fall election, so budget will be a little easier.
Is there something in here about that union negotiations?
There's not. The only thing there is by September 3rd, Finance Personnel Committee presents wage recommendations for the non-union employees. So ideally, we would have the union.
So the ball is in their court to submit it?
Yeah,
We only have one.
Okay.
we only have one meeting.
Yeah.
They haven't submitted their initial proposal as of yet.
So, other than that,
If you recall then, every time we've had a union negotiation for the pay raise, we also do that for staff. I think it was every time we did the same, sort of Was there ever a time where there was not?
Yeah, there have been times where it's not been the same.
Yeah, I
They
don't
think
remember.
they try to keep it the same. Sometimes that union contract doesn't get settled until after we've moved forward with the non-union employees.
So there has been.
Yeah, a lot of times then, once that's set, and I think our last one was for 3 years, so if we do it for 3 years again, it kind of sets the standard for the rest of it, seems. It's kind of how it's been working anyway.
I would move adoption of the 2020 budget timeline.
Second?
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item C, discussion and consideration, Public Works new hire wage rate. Great.
For those of you who don't know, we had a resignation in the Public Works Department. So I met with, following that resignation, I met with Lynn and Joe to discuss what we thought would be an appropriate offer to bring in someone new. I took a look at the Village of Belleville's and Greene County's ranges that they have for similar positions, and we came to the conclusion that to authorize an offer between $19.50 an hour to $20.50 an hour would be a competitive offer to bring someone in and get them hired. If you do authorize us to make that offer, we would make the offer to the candidate, and if they accept it, we would bring back a resolution formally appointing them to the position at the next board meeting. And then also, since I know there's some interest, I have started reaching out to firms to see what cost proposals would be for the development of a classification and compensation pay plan. So that would include a review of current positions, the job descriptions, a comparison to comparable communities throughout the state, and then also we would and then develop a pay range and pay scale with steps and things of that nature set for all village positions. So I've yet to hear back from any of the firms I've reached out to, but I am pursuing that to get a proposal to bring back to the board.
Any idea how soon we could hope to have, I mean, I realize it's
It's tough to say, it's certainly something I
a
would like
couple
to.
of months.
That would be my goal, would be a couple months to, once I start getting contacted back from them, I should have a better idea of how quickly they would be able to complete that type of work. And then based on the cost, whether we would want to choose a reputable firm or if we should go out to RFP, depending on how high those estimates come back. Decide at that time whether to do a formal RFP process or if we can, if we think we get a firm offering a quality price, whether we elect to go with them. Firms like Baker Tilly, who just bought Springstead, who used to do things like that. I've reached out to other communities to see who they may have used in the past. I know the Village of McFarland is undergoing one right now, and Baker Tilly is doing theirs. So that's where we're at with that.
Well, sooner the better, it's way past due.
I was hoping we wouldn't have a vacancy for some time so that we could get it implemented, but it came quicker than we would have liked.
So the pay that you mentioned that we would offer the new hire, what were we paying our last new hire who lasted? Sure.
It was just under, I think, $22 an hour.
$21.93.
And he was being paid a little extra because he
Brought significant experience.
had some experience and so on.
Did he leave for the sole purpose of being paid a higher salary? Is that?
My understanding is he got an offer that he couldn't refuse from, I think,
I think by a former
by his former
employer.
employer.
Oh.
So the reason I asked about that pay rate, so what if someone comes along of equal capabilities
So the plan right now is that there were 4 top candidates for the position the last time it was recruited, so that there's 3 remaining that we would go back to consider. And after talking with Joe, he thinks of the 3 remaining that they don't have the level of experience that the former employee brought, and so that it wouldn't justify offering that higher wage rate.
Okay. And without a pay scale, we're in the position of they're saying, well, you offered the last guy this and paid him that.
I think that's where.
And I know how it goes, I'm just saying, we all need to be aware of this, how important it is to have a pay scale in place. Many years overdue. Let's hope one of them takes it.
So we need a motion to,
Be a motion to authorize staff to offer a starting wage rate of between $19.50 an hour and $20.50 an hour.
So move.
Second.
any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, President's report, administrative trustee roles. I did this when Brian came, and I'm gonna do it again. It's in your packet on page 13, yeah. It just, with having a village administrator, everything needs to go through this gentleman right here. I mean, you can't have trustees going to department heads. If they've got an issue, they gotta go through Drake. And this just has to be this way. And I think most of us that have been on the board understand this and have been told this before. We hired Drake to run this village, and that's what he's supposed to do. So we just want to make sure that everything goes through, across his desk. So I just want to make everybody aware of that again, and so far he's doing a good job. So I think we'll be okay. So, any questions? Okay. Moving on to the standing committee appointments. I'll be very honest with you, I kind of held off a little bit to see if we get any more new members on the board, because some of the committees require trustees to serve on the committee. If we don't, some of us all are going to have to pick up the slack and serve on more committees. I really don't want to see that. But I think we're approved Parks and Rec. Patriots are chair and Chuck's on Parks and Rec, and you two are on Public Works, Public Safety. And those are the 2 main standing committees that we have to deal with, so. If it lingers, how long did we have that out for, that,
Since the last board meeting, so we put it out the day after.
so for how long?
3 weeks, that would be right.
3 weeks? But, I mean, it's still ongoing?
For another week, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we decided to run it one time in the paper.
Yep, and I
So
did.
it ran one time in the
Okay.
newspaper, but it's been on the website and posted around.
Do you think we need to do it in the paper again?
Well, I was thinking, I saw it twice in the paper.
We had a
Because-
news article, I think she ran the
She
news
ran-
article
She
twice.
did,
Yep.
she did,
And
she
the
ran it
paid
again.
ad we
Because
did
I thought,
once.
oh, that was nice.
Yeah, I
She
think
must have
we-
had space to fill,
Yeah.
so she ran the article twice, so we've
Okay.
already done that.
I mean, do you feel that we should maybe do the advertising again? No, Chuck? Okay.
What's our follow-up then? Do you appoint from there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of adopted the issue of advertising,
Right, right.
but I suppose that next step would be we'd have to try and shake the bush and see if we can get somebody to serve. Which, you know, you
Somebody-
ran as a write-in and Mark ran and Tim Usher. Maybe we could contact Tim Usher again, or was he written in unbeknownst to him?
Yeah, he didn't pursue that.
Okay, okay,
Folks that I did really good.
okay. Chuck, you were gonna say something?
I think people are well aware of the situation,
I know, people ask me, you got the board full yet? I said, no.
so I don't see the point in going out and begging someone
Who doesn't?
to come in, if they want, I mean, you can go and beg them to apply,
Yeah,
but without an application, we're outside of our procedure.
mhm.
So then I say.
Right, I'm not saying, no,
Then I say we leave it lay,
okay,
we operate as we are.
okay.
And hopefully, things will
Well, I'll tell you what,
get
then,
back to normal. I think we all know there have been a lot of issues that have caused this in the past year. Hopefully they'll settle down and we'll get back to normal.
well, with that being said, then I guess I'll try and work on some of the committees that don't need trustees, and then at the next board meeting, let's put something on the agenda that we can all talk and see who wants to serve on what committees that requires a trustee then. Is that fair enough?
I'm sure we can work it out.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want me to continue on library board?
Yeah, I'm
That's
sure,
what I'm
yeah.
doing. Okay,
Yeah.
because that's what,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll go over and get them all set up. We'll have, anything that is required, they have a trustee on, I'll have all of them hopefully in place by next time we meet.
What, just roughly, what are we talking about here as far as any committee of immediate importance that would be short?
Well, we were going in already short on CDA work, and then
Yeah.
I think we were short.
We were
Well,
short
Anthony's on
1 person on
CDA,
there,
so,
and, yeah.
I'm on, but we don't meet all the time.
yeah, right,
But they
right.
will be meeting in May.
There will be a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're
I
short
think that's why.
one there for sure,
standing.
because Anthony was on that. Right?
Yeah.
I have to look at my
I
sheet.
thought he
And
was on
then,
it before he was.
Yeah, but.
the only other one would be plan commission, but
He's gone.
I can't, I'd have to look at my sheet to see.
Well,
I know you're on
I'm on
there,
the plan commission,
and I know that Mike Marty's on there, and I gotta get, his term is up.
but he's not a trustee.
No, oh, you're just wanting the trustees.
Yeah, trustee.
And plan doesn't meet this month.
No.
So really, it's these standing committees for this month that we need to,
The two, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are committees that, like the zoning board of appeals, which I'm
Mhm.
chair of, so the likelihood of them meeting is.
It's going to become more popular soon.
It is.
Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Is it
Part of
So-
Shimmer.
So do
You might
we,
want to think about it.
What am I
Okay.
missing there?
I guess I can just touch on that real quick.
Okay.
We've had our consultant planner that has been reviewing our ordinances to make sure that they are compatible with state law. And so I think as part of that, and I just got it, so I have not reviewed his changes in detail, but I do think when we talk about the granting of variances, it's something that the zoning board of appeals should be handling. It's right now being handled by the plan commission. It should typically, the process you would see, I've spoken with Bill Morgan about this, is it would go, you'd have a variance request that would go to the zoning board of appeals, and that would all be handled prior to arrival at the plan commission. So the variant, they would determine whether a variance is warranted, and it would go to the plan commission. So we'll have to see how the consultant lays out that process, but it's,
Is that a statutory thing?
I believe so.
Hardly seems fair to the applicant to,
Have to go two places.
well, I mean, if you go through the zoning board of appeals, you have to pay. It costs you money,
Okay.
which also I have a personal problem with that, but
I'll make a note
I don't
to
think you
read
should
through
have to
those
pay to
changes.
address your government on a village level. But if they go to the plan commission first and are turned down, and then the zoning board of appeals has historically been the sort of court of last resort for for the appeals.
That's how.
I'll make
So
a,
with the plan commission,
Whether it's
if
right
they
or not.
denied,
If
then
the
you
plan
go.
commission and the village board
I'll make a note to follow up on
denies it,
that.
then you go to the zoning board of appeals,
I see.
which is why we so seldom meet,
Mhm.
because usually it's worked out at a
Sure.
lower level, but
I'll follow up with our,
it might be something to look into.
sure, I can do that, and then I'll report back on what that process and why the process was set up, how it would be.
And how was that detected or determined? I mean, how did
It was,
that come?
it's been ongoing, it's a project left over from when Brian departed.
Oh, I
It's been
see.
ongoing
You were
for
the zoning
several
code.
months.
Okay,
Updating the zoning code.
okay.
So Drake, I'm gonna ask you, I just thought of something. If one person would apply for a trustee's position, we end up with 6. Can we go with 6 or do we need
On
7?
a tie vote, a motion fails.
Okay. But we
So
could
you-
operate
you can
with
op-
6.
You can operate as a 6-member board, it's just on a tie vote, a
The
motion fails.
Okay, because we have no tiebreaker.
There is no tiebreaker, correct?
Do we need to make a motion to
These.
approve the standing committees? As Patriots, Chair, Bartz, and Shaw?
How can we do that if we don't know who's on?
I think you're just gonna tell us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
What we have now
And
is,
then Peggy's going to be Chair of Public Works with Mike on Public Works and Public Safety.
And was there one other one?
Roger's
Personnel.
chair of personnel and finance.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
and
and Pedro and Peggy are on Finance and Personnel.
So, yeah, once, we can approve these, but I think the main ones that we need are, I do have coverage right now.
Yeah, we're good right now with the standing committees, with Finance and Personnel Board and Parks and Rec.
So you just need to
Yeah.
find your
Yeah.
focus.
Public Works, Public Safety.
so, I don't know if this is, pertains, but did you read the recent issue of the municipality?
I haven't read that yet.
Okay, about a majority vote. Okay, so there's a very interesting legal guidance on what constitutes a majority, whether it's the members present, total members, yada, yada, yada. And most of that's statutory stuff. But if we're down to 2 members of a committee,
I see more things possibly coming to the full board.
Move
Just
it on to
saying.
the full board.
If we disagree.
Are you asking if there's an issue with having a 2-member committee?
no, well, in a sense, I mean, obviously, if we do, we do. And it's the same as having a 6-member board, right? I mean,
I
Right,
yes,
right.
yes, an even number, yeah.
So they
I
have
guess,
like we were
Yeah,
just
I guess
talking
it
I
does.
forget, I don't think we're good to
So-
do, Chuck, but.
That's a good question.
That's good.
We'll take it to the full.
What it is policy, let's say you have a split decision, then statutorily, does that go on to full board, or do we?
I can ask the,
I think you'd have to make a motion at the committee level to send it
Yeah.
directly to the board.
I would probably.
So every time
Recommend
it-
that
But
as chair, but.
how do you make a motion?
Yeah, and if it's a split decision,
You
it
still
fails.
have to vote on the motion.
I can
Well,
follow
but
up with the.
I think if you disagreed on an issue, wouldn't you vote to send it right directly to the board, regardless whether you were against it?
I would,
I
but
would, yeah.
that doesn't
I
mean
would
that
want that.
everybody would, and I think, I guess, I'm just questioning what are the various
Yeah.
procedures you might go through? Can the chairman say, for example, of the parking committee, just say, well, we'll just take it to the board? And I wouldn't have any problem with that.
So if I may, I'll have to review.
Put it on the agenda anyway.
Sure, I'll have to review the ordinances, but I'm not sure. My first question would be, do these standing committees take any action that is final? Or is there?
I don't think so.
No, you're right.
It's largely probably, at least when I was in Sun Prairie, how it operated is that if a standing committee made a motion, even if they said motion to approve, essentially what they were doing is they were making a motion to recommend that the village board approve
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Right.
So if the motion, even if it was a negative motion, that item could still go forward to the village board, it would just come with a negative recommendation from the standing committee. So the committee would be recommending that the village board not approve it, but the village board would still have the opportunity to act on it.
That's good, that's a good explanation.
And then I can ask the League of Wisconsin Municipalities about 2-member committees and see if they have any
Yeah,
advice.
I'm sure there's.
I think we just need to know, excuse me,
No, that's.
where we're going to be at here in the future with our lack of participants.
That's what I was just gonna say, it sounds logical to me, everything, but of course, common sense is a rare commodity these days.
Especially in government.
That's
Why are
us,
you looking
guys.
at me?
I was responding to your statement.
Going there.
Have you got that all written down?
I would,
Motion?
I would like
Or
to-
do I need to redo it?
Well, I don't have a motion or, I don't
I
know,
would
but I
like
did
to
a motion or
move
second.
Oh,
approval
yeah,
of the
you did
standing
have a
committee
motion.
appointments as made by our president.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Item C, board review reminder and training, then you're gonna have to, because I can't see through that plastic paper up there, I can't remember what it is.
Oh, it is next Monday night at
Oh.
5 o'clock. We have to be here for at least 2 hours. The good news is, no one came, there was no one at open book. I have not heard from anybody that is intending to come to board review. They would need to give us their intent 48 hours prior. So we would know,
Who's certified?
not that they couldn't come in that night, we have another process to go through. Yes, Petra is certified. I do still have the DVD and materials, if anyone else would care to listen to.
I'm aged out, I think what is it, good for 2 years?
It's 2 years, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I'm old.
yeah, you would need to redo to be certified again. Sorry.
I
If
could.
you're interested, yeah. I've
I'll
got it.
take them, if no one else takes them. It's so exciting, I can't.
I'm sorry, I missed
So we
it.
should
Is that-
all be,
has-
board
have to
review
do with
is,
it?
board review is the
Yeah.
village board,
Okay.
so we'll have a meeting Monday night at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And you need to have a board member certified to lead the procedure.
Oh, I see,
So
okay,
they need
got
to-
it, that's
they
what
need to-
that's for.
And you watch
Yeah.
the-
Either go to a
Videos.
training or watch a video.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if you'd rather take them.
Not necessarily.
It's a DVD. anybody
Listen
can-
out.
Dinner
And
will
it's
be provided.
excellent.
Yeah.
It's just one laugh after another.
It's
Yeah.
just riveting.
Okay, any further business? Hearing none, we are adjourned.